All right, guys, we got a quick one for you today. We have the Empire Magwell, the Katana. It's a pretty popular design, nice and sleek. I believe on the website it shows that they're Japanese inspired with the design. So I do kind of can see that. It's nice and sleek. Not one of the bigger Magwells, really thick ones. It's kind of what I liked about it. It's a nice, sleek, slimmer design. Designed this way for a purpose. Still give you the function of the magwell to funnel that mag in if you're sliding it in off center, but just a little sleeker design, a little thinner, so that way it kind of helps with the printing if you're still using this magwell for everyday carry or something like that, concealment. It came in this little bag. It does come with the Allen key and the 2 screws provided to go in there for each side. Should be a pretty easy install. There's their card. Empire, they do make some great products for SIG. I talked to the guy from Empire out of San Antonio, Cameron, said they work with OEM parts, so they're a manufacturer directly with SIG, and just kind of add their flair, add their touch to some of their slides, and then some of their grip modules and panels and stuff for some of the other versions, the 320s and stuff like that, AXG modules. And then of course they make some of their own parts, aftermarket parts for the guns. Also came with a cool little sticker. I have a little sticker collection going on in my safe of any products that I use. So again, this is the Katana. It is aluminum. It's about 15 grams is what it shows on the website. So I'll go ahead and post their specs up there for you. Has their dimensions and all that good stuff if you wanted to know the exact specs on that. Has their little imprinting, the little engraved logo there, their Empire name. Really awesome design. I saw them at a show here in San Antonio this past weekend at a Hunters Expo and just had to grab one. If you go to their website, they do not have these black or some of the other colors. I think they had a red one. They're not in stock because they do go out pretty fast. I've learned in some of our groups. I think on their website right now, they may have the raw and the tungsten design. They're about 70, 75 bucks. So check that out. And they do go out of stock quite often. So you'd have to kind of watch their website or sign up for their subscription list to kind of get updated when their parts are back in stock. We want to go ahead and let's start our install. So we have an empty mag there. Let's do a safety check. Nothing in there. So always want to make sure we are safe. So before we get started and actually assembling it, they make these parts for the OEM grip modules. Like I said, they are OEM manufacturer, semi-aftermarket parts maker. They work off of the OEM designs. So speaking of that, here's the OEM XMacro Comp, and you see a groove here at the bottom of that grip there. So the way they designed this is to really match that up really well, because you see a groove at the top of the magwell that's going to slide right on there, and the back piece as well is going to slide there. They'll connect, and then we'll have the nice little spot there. You see one there, and then one on this side for the screws to go in, the 2 provided screws that are right here. So it should be pretty simple, but we'll see. I can make things difficult. So let's start with the front. I'm just kind of guiding it there where the groove is, and you see already kind of slid on there. And once you start to get up close, you see that little gap. Once you get there, you'll feel a little bit of a pressure. That's normal, because it should be a nice snug fit. And just check both sides that you are in the grooves, which I can see on this side and on this side. All right, so you want to double check that. It looks good to me. Let's go ahead and get that back piece. The back piece, of course, has their name etched in there or engraved in there. So let's get those grooves in there to match up. There it goes. And it should just kind of fall into place if you're right in the right grooves. And it looks like we are good to go there. And like I said, it's going to be a nice snug fit. It'll have somewhat of a gap because you got to get those screws on there first. But you can tell if you just inspect it as you're holding it, make sure it's flush all the way around. And you can see that it is. It's going to be a nice fit. So let's go ahead and get started with the screws. Let's go with screw number 1. Let's get this guy in here. All right. So you got to make sure you come in away from the back, or otherwise you're going to hit this little channel and it's not going to go in. So, and it should just fall into place there. There we go. I kind of felt it grab. And remember, we're going to follow that you know, like you're tightening up lugs on a vehicle, right? You don't want to over tighten one side and then get an alignment issue. So just kind of get it going in there a little bit. And then let's go ahead and flip that guy over and let's get the second one in. There it goes. There we go. And then let's start tightening that one. Get a nice little snug, make it contact. All right, you don't want to over tighten one side too much because then you may have an alignment issue. And once you feel it catch on both sides, you can kind of go ahead and make sure it's still together. You didn't fall out of place. You see we still got a ways to go, but just make sure that you're still in the groove and make sure everything is still kind of matching up there. Nothing is falling out of place so far. So once we start tightening it, it'll start to close these seams for us. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the top. There we go. There we go. And I can see it turning there, starting to close that gap. And I'm gonna let it close the gap just a little bit, not too much pressure. These do not need to be torqued. So I got one side in, let's go ahead and get the other side. You're gonna feel it catch again, there we go. And then again, you just tighten it. I see the gap closing. There you go, you can see that gap closing. And again, it does not need to be torqued or anything like that. So just kind of hand tighten. So we got one side. Let's go ahead and get the other side. Oh, I've got a little bit of camera movement. There we go. All right, that side is pretty snug. Nice clean fit. It is nice and snug. There are no gaps in between the lines, no seams that are showing. Double check your grooves here. It is a nice clean fit all the way around. Double check there, make sure you don't have any gaps, there's no loose parts, anything like that. So I can clearly see that it is perfectly flush. So let's go ahead and back this up some. So here's my full-size grip. I have a pretty decent sized hand, and you can see there's no issue. I really don't feel this groove here that's created by the Magwell on this. It's almost like a perfect fit. Like the mag extension, it kind of gives you a nice natural feel to it. Finger does not pass that, and I do have a pretty wide hand. It's a nice feel. The back feels nice. I don't feel any seams. I don't feel anything pinching on this side. There's really no movement at all. It's not wiggling or anything. It's a nice tight fit. So let's get us a magazine. There we go. So we have an empty mag. And this is a factory 17 rounder. There you go. Just hit that button. They still release. No problem. So it's not catching it or scraping or anything like that. And again, this is just the standard 17 round mag. No problems, easy release. And we all know what the magwells are for, right? If you're in distress or fast, you're doing fast reloads and you kind of come in off center, it's going to just essentially push that and guide that for you, right? So there you go. I'm trying to doing some that are purposely off center so you guys can see. It'll hit here, guide you straight in, just like that. Hit up top, guide you in, release. That's the purpose. All right, let's hit a little bit at the bottom. There we go, straight in, release. So no problem with the OEM 17 rounders. And of course, they say these are perfectly with their +2 mag extensions and well, obviously same company, so it should fit perfect. But there you go. Nice clean fit. You guys can see there on the XMacro Comp. She's starting to come together. Really nice. Really feels nice. Any questions, comments, just let me know. I'll probably get some shots shooting this and see how it feels, if there's any kind of movement or anything like that. But overall, nice clean look. I need to get me one of those little fancy stands there so you guys can take a look at the gun. We'll just use that for now. But nice clean look for the Empire Katana. Send me some feedback, comments, anything like that. If you appreciate it, subscribe. Appreciate you guys.